Okay, good afternoon everybody. My name is Syed Abrar. I'm director at BuddyApp. We created a mental health solution about 2 years ago, and we brought it to the market in August of last year. The whole theory behind Buddy was looking at how we can improve patient engagement with mental health services. So how can we improve that user experience? So a little thing about who we are. So Buddy was created by Psychic Studios, which is a design consultancy based in London. Part of their vision is looking at how they can use design and technology skills to help improve social problems. Buddy Enterprises was formed, and BuddyApp was our very first application that we developed. And what we did, we brought together people from within business, from within design and technology, and also mental health professionals to create a solution. So it wasn't something that we hacked together, it was something we worked and collaborated with professionals to do that. Part of the development process was to work with a mental health trust that was South London and Morsley. And we tested Buddy within their CMHT and early intervention services, and also with Rethink. And just a quick list of some of our current clients. So we launched in August of last year, and we're in 8 NHS trusts and 2 non-statutory providers of mental health services. So what was the issue? So what were we trying to solve? We were trying to reflect how we live our lives. So we all live in a digital world. Everybody uses technology in their day-to-day lives, but within public services, the NHS, and specifically mental health, technology is mainly used in regards to interventions, how we manage data, and how we provide medication. So technology, what we're using in our everyday life, isn't being used to help empower consumers. So in mental health, we have users who are often passive, not in control, not engaged with treatment. There's a culture of professionally led care, and they're still using paper-used systems, so mood diaries, help books, and leaflets. So what was our vision? So it was looking at how we could develop an application that sits in the intersection of all of those different areas. So we looked at the public and service users, so how we live our lifestyle, how we would like to self-manage our own care, and also look at our own personal needs and our aspirations. From the mental health perspective, we looked at how we could create an application that will help the clinicians make their jobs easier, help managers to improve efficiency within services, and from a commissioner's point of view, they were interested in a number of areas of how we could increase engagement and reduce did not intends and clinical outcomes. And most importantly for us was design. So you have to design something that people will actually use, that reflects the way we live in our lives, nothing too complicated. So it took us 2 years of development to get to simple. So we created many different iterations of Buddy. We tested it, we got people coming back saying, this is great, not so great, can you do this, can you do that? So using our experience and expertise in design, we were able to create Buddy. So what was Buddy? So it was a simple proposition to use text messaging, something that we use in our everyday lives, something that's a known technology, has been around for over 20 years. And mobile phones are taking away the difference between whether you've got an Apple phone or a BlackBerry or a Windows handset, and enabling people to use SMS to take control of their own recovery, and a resource for collaborating between the professionals to achieve their goals. So Buddy, in essence, what does it do? It allows clients to keep a daily diary via SMS. So every day, the service user would receive a text message saying, hi, it's Buddy here. How would you like to rate your day between 1 and 5, 1 being well below average and 5 being well above average? And write a little thing about what you either thought, did, or felt today. That then starts creating a digital mood diary that gets uploaded onto a web platform, which allows the service user to be able to log on, review and reflect their entries, and start spotting patterns. Buddy also has built-in appointment reminders, so again, from the commissioner's point of view and manager's point of view, it's something they were interested in. So Buddy sends 2 text reminders, one 24 hours before, and also another 2 hours before the session, so to ensure that people turn up. Buddy also, in one of the text messages it sends 24 hours beforehand, it also asks the service user to log on to BuddyApp and review and reflect and create a session plan of what they'd like to talk about within their session. So again, this is helping efficiency with professionals, because they have a really good insight into what's been happening in that person's life and also what they'd like to talk about in their session. It also allows people to set and receive behavioural activation goals. So you can prompt Buddy to say, why don't you go for a walk today, why don't you go and spend some time with your family, and so on and so forth. Things that can help people feel better. So I'm just going to play a quick movie so you can see what it works like in practice.
Buddy is a great tool for therapists that helps support their service users. Here's how it works. This is me. I'm a therapist and I work for the psychological therapy service. I'm talking to a service user and asking them if they want to use Buddy as a simple way for them to keep a diary of their life in between our appointments. I explain how it works and they agree. So I get their mobile number and I put in our next appointment and we're done. Later that day, the user receives their first text from Buddy. It asks one simple, everyday question. They reply and begin to create the digital mood diary. Once they're done, Buddy also asks them to rate their day from 1 to 5. This is really helpful later on when they look back at their entries. Over the next 2 weeks, or until the next session, the user gets a text from Buddy every day, asking what they did today and to rate it. Buddy uses text messaging because it's cheap, it's discreet, it's portable, and it's quick. It fits into their life, and it's a timely reminder that works on any mobile. Start to see patterns and begin to make connections between what they were doing and how they were feeling. This is where rating the days comes in really handy. For example, they can look back at all the good days. Buddy then allows the user to make notes and start planning what they'd like to talk about tomorrow. All this helps them take control of their therapy sessions. And of course, they'll be less likely to miss their appointment if they've helped to plan it. Just before our meeting, I open up Buddy, and at a glance, I can see how the week has been and what they would like to talk about. This really helps our therapy sessions because we can immediately start talking about the things which help the service user the most. But it also allows us to set goals that they can work towards. We can even agree a time for a text reminder to be sent to the user at the right time to help with behavioral activation, which means they'll get timely reminders of the little things they need to change at the right time. So that's Buddy, a simple SMS service that improves therapy sessions and helps the users focus on the behaviors they need to change.
Okay, so that's Buddy. So what have the benefits of Buddy been? So for service users, it's helping them to spot patterns. So we talked about how we can help people manage their own recovery as they move forward. So Buddy's enabling people to do that. It's helping improve the communication, the dialogue between service users and services. And also it enables to create control for service users. So if they feel they're more in control of their own therapy, they're more likely to take part in the process. For professionals, as I said earlier, it offers that really good insight into what's been happening in people's lives in between sessions. So notwithstanding how that person is presenting on that day, they're able to see quite quickly what actually happened and move to a more of a positive conversation. It allows the professionals to focus, create focus on goals for patients, and also the built-in appointment reminders is really helpful. From a management point of view, it's helping improve the did not attend rate for services and also improving the efficiency of the professionals. So ideally, we've got happier users, better enabled clinicians and more efficient services. So this is just some of the data of some of the work that we've been doing with the organisations. So South London Maudsley Trust, some of the scores that were coming back on clinical outcomes were really positive, so improved quality of life scores, decreases in the core 10, and 100% of the service users said they would use it again. So that's really important for us. So you build something that people will use and will continue to use, won't get bored of very easily. From professionals, there was 63% compliance, so they used it regularly, 63% of the time, and 71% felt it allowed a more open and honest discussion. And from a commissioning point of view, there was a reduction in 7% DNAs. So just some user feedback. This lady here talks about how it's helped her spot patterns and how it also helps her overcome isolation. Buddy was the only contact she was getting every day, and she found it quite reassuring that somebody was checking up on her. And some clinician feedback on Buddy. So the idea of Buddy is to put person's goals at the centre of their treatment. And that's how it's helping people support them throughout their week, in between sessions. And some more data here regards a non-statutory provider of mental health services. They're part of Anxiety UK, self-help services up in Stockport. And again, the satisfaction figures were really high on using the product, and also the outcomes, clinical outcomes, were really positive, as well as the increase in DNAs. For Anxiety UK, as they're a charity, they were really interested in PBR and how that will help increase revenue. So by using Buddy in the trial, they were able to gain an additional 500 clinical hours, which meant an additional 25k in income. And this is just some feedback from the CEO there, confirming that it was about looking at how we could deliver more for less, and Buddy's enabled them to do that. Interesting enough, with Buddy, we built it initially for mental health services, which has been used in CAMS, in early intervention services, in IAPT, but we've had Buddy being used in a number of different areas where anything that you need to record what that person's been doing and how it affects the way they feel, Buddy is sufficient for. So we've been having some great traction with military veteran services. So Pennine Care was one of the first veteran services sites in the UK, and they've chosen Buddy as a tool to help increase engagement. It's quite a difficult cohort to engage with, and they've found some really amazing outcomes, and we're just going to publish a report in the next couple of 3 months about the work we've done with veteran services in Pennine. But as you can see, they've been using Buddy for alcohol diaries, pain management, PTSD, and it's helping increase engagement with that difficult cohort. So just to summarise, Buddy's been designed, or was designed, to specifically support mental health pathways. It's there to help improve user engagement with services, and it's designed to work around everybody's lives, the way we live, and using everyday technology. It helps to improve the relationship between professionals and service users, and most importantly, it's empowering and non-stigmatising. Just a few awards and recognitions. So we talked about design being really important to us. We won a pan-European award called the Lovies. We went to meet, we were awarded by Stephen Fry. It was really nice to go there and be recognised for the quality of our website and our application that we built. We were also nominated as finalists for the HSJ Innovation in Mental Health Award. We were the only non-NHS provider to be nominated. And just recently we've been awarded as Big Venture Challenge as social entrepreneurs, and they'll be supporting us for the next year in helping get our application to scale. And that's it, guys. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, Syed's got lots of useful insights, I think, both from the perspective of mental health professionals who are looking at how they might implement these things in their services. But I'm sure he's also very happy to share his experiences as the process of developer and how he went about doing it, because I think with the number of customers you've got now, you're moving over that hump in terms of...
Yeah, we're very much in growth phase now.
So plenty of opportunity to do that during the session, but plenty of time if anybody wants to drop in a quick question now. Conrad. back.
Two quick ones. Firstly, are you building on top of frontline SMS to handle the in and out SMS messaging, or have you built your own?
We built our own.
Okay. And the second thing is, can this translate easily to other character sets? So, for example, working with a Bengali community or a Yiddish community?
Yeah, I mean, we've just recently recruited a Ruby developer as a full-time CTO who has experience of building applications in multi-languages. So one of the pieces of work that he'll be doing the next year, it won't be immediate, we'll be looking at how we can build in multi-languages to help people. So, you know, Buddy is a national product, so when we're talking to people in East London, they've spoken to us about can we have it in Bengali language and Urdu and stuff like that. So we will build all that into it, but we've only been going for 8 months or so, you know, but we will definitely be building in support for multiple languages.
I'm going to take Kieran up on it, I promise you made on your behalf, and to talk about commercialisation and the commercial models. Whilst I'm sure it's sensitive in terms of numbers, but what's your commercial model in terms of how do you make your money from the service? We've
kind of come from a different view because we've looked at how we can help make great social impact. So our pricing model is quite cheap. So what we do, we provide a license for a year for services to offer that to their service users, and the cost of the license is just £20 for the whole year. So for us, it wasn't about selling for hundreds of pounds. We want everybody to be able to benefit from Buddy. So it's a license model.
It's great that you're actually getting pickup, and obviously, as we heard from the last speaker, adoption is one of the biggest problems in the NHS.
Yep.
No matter what it is, innovation, it's a problem.
Yeah.
How are you actually finding? Is it word of mouth, or is it through the profession, or?
It's very difficult. We have got some great advocates who support Buddy. There's one sat here in the room. The front. But it is a case of getting to talk to as many people as you can. So when I started, I was making 150 calls a day, talking to as many people as I could, whether that's clinicians, whether that's chief execs, whether it's their PAs, whether it's whoever makes the tea, to talk to them about what Buddy's doing. There's a lot of goodwill out there, so you do get people who understand digital and they can see straight away what the benefits are, and they're willing to give it a go, and they'll want to see what value it drives from within their own organisation. But we are at a stage where, yes, we've got traction, but we come across the argument of evidence-based practice, so we haven't got clinical size trials. So I have a lot of practice-based evidence, but not evidence-based practice, so I have a lot of people using it, some really great qualitative and quantitative feedback from both service users and services. But we are looking to work in partnership with trusts. So we're doing some work with West London at the moment. We've also been speaking to a KIC at this moment in time. And also we're doing some work with the Institute of Mental Health in Nottingham with Chris Hollis as part of a HDC programme.
The second one is that there are some companies here in the West Midlands, we'll chat later, that have done a lot of work with text messaging in various languages, from Bengali and such like, for mainly the education market, but the same problems, trying to get messages out.
Yeah, you may know the same person that I've just recruited because that's what the secretary who was working in.
So we'd like to make connections at HANDI, and Conrad, who knows the questions, is an expert on representing characters. That's why he asked you the question, I think.
Oh, excellent.
So he could help you as well.
No, absolutely. That would be fantastic. I think, just to reiterate, when we built Buddy, it was all about complementing existing services and not replacing it. So that was quite a key part of what we were trying to do, and I think that's where we've got greater acceptance from within the NHS, because we're trying to help them.
There are various things we can pick up. Oh, lady there, sorry.
I just wonder if you ever have any privacy concerns, because it puts such a vast amount of data into a digital form that wouldn't have been before, and perhaps would never even been captured digitally. Then it's there on your phone where somebody might steal it, or your friends might see it, or can send it out over the web, and you're trusting people to look after this data and not ever let it get out somehow. I know it seems to be that that's where we're going now, that we just declarative living and all that. But has anybody ever said, hang on a minute,
No, I mean, you will always get a governance question. I mean, if you look at patients and service users themselves, if you look at how people live their lives, everything they do is either tweeted, it's updated on Facebook, they put everything on the people who are in hospitals having operations and then taking photos of themselves and uploading it. So the patient isn't normally has an issue, and most people who would use Buddy, they get asked to put a pin on their phone because you're sending a text message. The data that's stored on the web portal is totally secure. So it has all the encryption that your standard banking system would have. So that information is then only available to the professional and the service user. Everything else that we see is pseudonymized, so there's no patient identifiable data. So if anybody was to get into it, they wouldn't actually make sense of who it belongs to.
If I could add to that, just for an example of an app that we were developing at the University of Nottingham with some researchers. They went to their ethics committee, basically said no to text messaging. So I think there is a question there. And in the end, we went down the app route, so where there's potential for encryption. So there is, I think, there are obviously.
That's fascinating, because the same people are probably sending out postcards. We'll talk a bit later, I think, about barriers to innovation. I've got a list of barriers to innovation. Information governance, the tyranny of evidence, standards, and a few others. We can talk about those. All of those are good things, of course, but they have negative sides. And sometimes I think they're used by people, as Ian described it, actually don't want to change. And you know, these things happen. But I think that's a really interesting thing to pick up in the discussion section that we have next. So if we can, thank you very much for that useful presentation, Syed.